My sister secretly recorded my parents saying, "He thinks we love him, we just love his money." She sent me the video, and my heart broke. So I went no contact. Weeks later, my dad called, furious, "Where's our allowance?" I smirked and said, "I never thought I'd hear something like this come out of my parents' mouths. I always believed they loved me. Not in a fairy tale way, our family had its problems, sure. But I thought, at the core of it, we were solid. I was the eldest son, the responsible one, the one who always helped out. I worked hard, built a stable career, and I gave because I wanted to. Because that's what family does. When they were short on rent, I covered it. When their car broke down, I paid for repairs. When they wanted to take a trip but couldn't afford it, I made it happen. I never thought twice. I never kept track. I never expected anything in return. But then my sister, Dana, sent me a video that shattered everything. It was late when the text came in. Dana and I weren't that close, she was the golden child, the one they doted on. I was just the one who made sure things got done. Her message was short. "You need to see this." There was a video attached. I hit play. The screen was dark at first, the angle low, like she had propped her phone up somewhere without them noticing. My parents' voices filled the silence. "He thinks we love him," my mother's voice. My father chuckled. "We just love his money." I felt a chill run down my spine. "He's so gullible," my mom went on, laughing like it was some inside joke. "Always handing over cash like it's nothing. He thinks we'd have him over all the time if he didn't pay for everything?" Dad laughed again. "Well, he's useful. Until he isn't." I stopped breathing. The video wasn't long, maybe a minute. But it played in my head over and over again. I sat frozen, staring at my phone, my heart pounding. I played it again and again, trying to process, trying to convince myself that maybe I had misunderstood, that maybe it was some cruel joke. But no, their voices were clear, their laughter was real. They never loved me. They loved what I could do for them. For years, I had been giving, never realizing that to them, I wasn't a son. I was a wallet. I texted Dana back, "Is this real?" Her response was instant. "Yeah. I recorded it today. I thought you should know." I sat there, gripping my phone so tightly my fingers ached. I should have been angry. I should have screamed. But all I felt was cold, hollow disbelief. Then something shifted inside me. I didn't text my parents. I didn't call. I didn't confront them. What was the point? They wouldn't apologize. They wouldn't suddenly love me. The truth was out now. So I went silent. For weeks, I ignored their calls. I didn't respond to their texts. I vanished. And you know what happened? Nothing. No one checked in. No one came looking. No one asked if I was okay, until my dad called. His number flashed across my screen, the name I had seen thousands of times before. I let it ring. Then it rang again and again. Finally, I answered, "Hello?" His voice was already sharp. "Where's our allowance?" I almost laughed. That's what this was about? Not me, not why I had disappeared, not if I was okay, just the money. I smirked. "Allowance? You haven't sent anything this month," he snapped. "We have bills to pay. You know that." I let the silence stretch between us, my heart hammering. Then I said, my voice too calm, too steady, "Oh. You mean the money you get from the son you don't actually love?" There was a long pause. Then he cleared his throat. "I don't know what you're talking about." I almost admired the audacity. "Almost." I laughed, a short, bitter sound. "Right. Sure you don't. Listen," his voice softened, like he was trying to be reasonable. "I don't know what you think is going on, but you can't just cut us off. We're family." I clenched my jaw. Family. Right. I thought about every time I had stepped in to help, every sacrifice I had made, every moment I had put their needs above my own. How many times had I told myself that this was just what good sons did, that their love was worth the effort? I thought about the video, about my mother's laughter. I took a slow breath. "I'm not cutting anyone off," I said. "I'm just reallocating my finances since, I'm only good for my money and all." I could practically hear the gears turning in his head. Then he scoffed. "You're being dramatic." Dramatic? I felt something inside me snap. How am I being dramatic? I asked, my voice steady. Because I finally heard the truth? Because I decided I'm done being used? His frustration was seeping through now. "That's not what's happening. Don't act like you're some victim here. We raised you. We took care of you. And now, when we need help, you just abandon us." I laughed again, but this time it was sharp, full of disbelief. "What have you done for me?" I asked, my voice quiet. Another silence. I waited. I could hear him breathing, hear him trying to come up with something. But there was nothing because they hadn't done anything. I nodded to myself. "That's what I thought." "Don't do this," he tried again, his voice shifting, trying to sound reasonable. "You're overreacting. We're family." "No," I said simply. "We're not." And then I hung up. I sat there for a long time, phone still in my hand, staring at nothing. I should have felt sad, but I didn't. I felt free. For the first time in my life, I was free. The silence after I hung up was heavy. My phone sat in my lap, screen dark, but I knew it wasn't over. People like my parents didn't just let things go. I was right. It started small. A few more missed calls, some texts I ignored. Then Dana messaged me, "Mom's pissed. Dad too. They're saying you're being cruel." I stared at the message for a long time before replying. "Do you think I am?" She didn't answer right away. Then, "No. I think you're right." That gave me a little comfort, but I knew it wouldn't last. A few days later, my mom finally reached out. Not a text, but a long, dramatic voicemail. "I don't know what's gotten into you," she began, her voice shaking like she was on the verge of tears. "We've always been there for you. We've always loved you. And now, out of nowhere, you just cut us off? Do you have any idea what this is doing to us? We're struggling. You know that. And you won't even pick up the phone?" I deleted the message without responding. Then the guilt tripping turned into anger. Another voicemail, this time from my dad. "I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but this is disgusting. We raised you. We sacrificed for you. And this is how you repay us? You think you're too good for your own parents now? You're acting like some spoiled brat, throwing a tantrum because you didn't get your way. Grow up." Delete. Then the accusations started. They must have realized I wasn't breaking, so they switched tactics. I started hearing from family members I hadn't spoken to in years. An aunt I barely knew sent a message, "Your parents are devastated. They don't understand why you're doing this to them. You should be ashamed." A cousin, "Wow. You really let money change you. So sad." Even my grandmother, who had never once reached out to me before, left a voicemail. Her voice was weak, shaking. "I don't know what's happening, sweetheart, but please, whatever your parents did, forgive them. Life's too short." That one almost got me. Almost. Then Dana called. I picked up. "They're losing it," she said, not bothering with a hello. "They're telling everyone you've abandoned them, that they're starving." I snorted. "Starving? Are they serious?" "Dead serious. I came by yesterday and Mom was sitting on the couch crying, saying they don't even have money for groceries. Dad told me they might have to sell the house." I gritted my teeth. "Dana," I looked at their bank statements. "They have savings. They're just mad they can't spend my money on useless crap anymore." "I know," she muttered. "I just wanted to warn you. They're talking about coming to your work." I sat up straight. "What?" "They don't know where you live now, but they know where you work. Dad was saying if you won't answer their calls, maybe seeing them in person will remind you of your duty." I closed my eyes and took a slow breath. I shouldn't have been surprised, but somehow, I still was. "Thanks for telling me," I said. Sure enough, 2 days later, they showed up. I was in my office when my coworker, Melissa, knocked on my door. "There's an older couple downstairs asking for you. They said it's urgent." My stomach twisted. I forced a calm expression. "What do they look like? Older, maybe late 50s, early 60s? The woman's crying, the man looks pissed. They wouldn't give their names, just said they were family." Of course, she was crying. My mother always knew how to play the victim. I exhaled slowly. "Tell security not to let them up." Melissa raised an eyebrow but nodded. "Got it." 5 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You won't even see us? You're really this heartless? What kind of son does this?" Then another. "You're humiliating us. We just want to talk. If you don't come down, we'll wait all day." I didn't reply. I don't know how long they actually waited. By lunchtime, security confirmed they were gone. But that wasn't the end of it. A few days later, I got a call from HR. "We had a complaint filed against you," my manager said, looking uncomfortable. "Your parents called, said you were financially abusing them." I blinked. "Excuse me?" "They claimed you've been controlling their finances for years and suddenly cut them off out of cruelty." I almost laughed. "That's insane." "We figured as much. But we still need to document it. If they keep harassing you here, we might have to take legal action." Legal action against my own parents. I never thought it would come to this. That night, I sat in my apartment, staring at the ceiling, my phone face down beside me. I had spent my whole life believing I was part of a family. That I mattered. That what I gave out of love, and that love was returned. But none of that was real. I wasn't a son to them. I was a resource. And now that resource had been cut off, they were spiraling. I didn't know what was coming next. But I knew one thing. I wasn't backing down. The next twist came fast. I was sitting at my desk a week later when Dana texted me, "Mom and Dad hired a lawyer." I felt my stomach drop. "For what?" I typed back. "I don't know, but they're telling everyone they're taking legal action against you. I think they're trying to force you to give them money." I stared at the message, my heart pounding. Could they actually do that? I knew they were desperate, but this was a whole new level. I started researching. Turns out, there was something called filial responsibility laws in some states. If they were serious, they could actually try to sue me for financial support. I checked the laws in my state. Thankfully, we weren't one of the ones that enforced them. But that didn't mean they wouldn't try something else. And they did. A few days later, I got an official letter in the mail. It was from their lawyer. Cease and desist for financial abandonment. I almost laughed. Financial abandonment? Like I was legally responsible for two grown adults who had just refused to manage their own money? I called my own lawyer. He read through the letter and sighed. This is complete nonsense. They don't have a case. They're just trying to scare you. That's what I thought too. But then it got worse. Dana called that night, her voice low. I think they're trying to go after your accounts. I gripped my phone. What? They're telling people that they co-signed something for you years ago. A loan, maybe? They're saying they still have legal rights to your money. My blood ran cold. I did have a joint account with them a long time ago. Back when I was in college and needed their name on an apartment lease. I had forgotten all about it. I had my own accounts now, my own savings. But if that old account was still active, and if my name was still tied to it, they could try to mess with my finances. I hung up with Dana and immediately called my bank. And that's when I found out the worst part. The old account? The one I had completely forgotten about? They had been using it this entire time. My name was still on it, but I had stopped checking it years ago. It was just some forgotten account in the background of my life. But my parents? They had been moving money through it. They had thousands of dollars in debt tied to it. And legally, because my name was still attached, I was liable. I felt my heart hammering in my chest. I need my name off that account immediately. The bank rep hesitated. Unfortunately, since it's a joint account, you'll need the other party's approval to remove yourself. I clenched my jaw. Let me guess. That means my parents. Correct. I hung up and sat in silence, my head spinning. They had set this up perfectly. I had walked right into it. I called Dana back. They'd been using an old joint account. I could be on the hook for their debt. She swore under her breath. You need to get a lawyer. Fast. I already knew that. But what I didn't expect was what happened next. The very next morning, I woke up to an email alert. A large sum of money, several $1,000s, had just vanished from my personal savings. My own account. Not the joint one. I panicked, called the bank, and after an hour on hold, I got an answer that made my blood run cold. The money had been transferred, but not by me. It was my mother. She had somehow gotten access. I didn't even know how. Maybe from an old password I forgot to change. Maybe because she knew just enough information to convince the bank she had authority. Maybe because she had set up access years ago and I never thought to check. But however she did it, she had stolen from me, and I wasn't about to let that slide. I sat there, staring at my bank statement, my hands shaking. Thousands of dollars, gone. Money I had worked for, saved for, relied on, and my own mother had stolen it. I called the bank again, my voice sharp. This was unauthorized. That was theft. The rep sounded nervous. We'll open an investigation, but since she's a known relative and may have had prior access, it could take time. Time? I didn't have time. I hung up and immediately called my lawyer. She stole from me, I said through clenched teeth. I want it back, he sighed. This is serious. We'll need to press charges. I hesitated for half a second. Press charges against my own mother? Then I thought about the video. The laughter, the way they had used me for years, the false accusations, the nerve of them trying to sue me when they were the ones who had been taking advantage of me all along. I took a deep breath. Do it. That same day, I pulled every financial record I had. I dug through emails, old documents, everything. If they wanted to play dirty, I was going to bury them. And oh, did I find things. The old joint account? It wasn't just in debt. My parents had taken out a loan under both our names years ago. I had never seen a dime of it. They had signed for it, used it, and never paid it back. The balance had been quietly stacking up for years. If I hadn't caught this now, my credit would have been destroyed. I felt sick. I called Dana. They're not just leeches. They're criminals. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "What are you going to do?" I knew exactly what I was going to do. First, I froze every account I had. New passwords. New security measures. The bank confirmed my mother had gained access using an old linked account, one I never thought to disconnect. I locked everything down. Then, I reported the theft. My mother had no legal access to my personal funds. The bank agreed to open a fraud case, but that wasn't enough. My lawyer sent a formal demand letter: return the stolen money immediately or face criminal charges. 2 days later, I got a call from my dad. You called the cops on your own mother? His voice was pure rage. You stole from me, I said, my voice calm. His breath came fast over the phone. We're family. No, I said coldly. Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't take out loans in someone else's name. Family doesn't use people. Silence. Then, he made his biggest mistake. You think you're so smart? His voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. You have no idea what we can do to you. You want to play dirty? Fine. Watch what happens next. He hung up. I sat there, heart pounding. That was a threat, and I wasn't about to ignore it. I forwarded the call recording to my lawyer. That's intimidation, he said. We're filing for a restraining order. By the end of the week, I had filed fraud charges against my mother, frozen and removed my name from the joint account, officially reported the stolen funds to law enforcement, and filed for a restraining order against both of them. The fallout was fast. The fraud case moved quicker than I expected. With clear evidence that she had accessed my account without permission, the bank ruled in my favor. My mother was given 7 days to return the money before they escalated to prosecution. She didn't return it. So the cops got involved. The day she was arrested, my dad blew up my phone. Calls, voicemails, texts. You're ruining our lives. How could you do this to your own mother? We needed that money. You left us no choice. No choice. Right. Because stealing from me, lying, and taking out fraudulent loans was their only option? Dana called me later. Her voice was shaky. Mom's in jail. I exhaled. I know. Dad tried everything to get the charges dropped. He called family members, tried to guilt trip me, even showed up outside my old workplace until security kicked him out. It didn't work. They had no money for a lawyer. No money to bribe their way out. And then, karma hit even harder. Remember the old loan in my name? Since my parents had defaulted, the bank came after me first, until my lawyer showed them evidence that I had never agreed to it. That my signature had been forged. Fraud. Bank fraud. They were investigated. The case turned up more fraudulent activity. Turns out, my parents had done this before to other people. Small amounts here and there, enough to avoid attention. But this? This was big. And banks don't forgive bank fraud. They were sued big time. The house? Gone. The car? Repossessed. Everything they had? Seized to pay off their debts. Dana moved out. She wanted nothing to do with them anymore. And me? I walked away. I never saw them again. The last I heard, my dad was living in a small apartment, struggling to make ends meet. My mother? She spent time in jail before getting out on probation. But with her record, no one trusted her anymore. The golden life they thought they had? Gone. And me? I was finally free. But freedom comes with its own weight. I spent the next few months rebuilding my life, cutting ties with relatives who had chosen their side, and coming to terms with the fact that the family I thought I had never really existed. I'd sometimes wake up in the middle of the night, wondering if I had made the right choice. Had I overreacted? Was I the monster they claimed I was? Then I'd remember the video. Their laughter. The casual cruelty in their voices. And I knew I had done what was necessary. Dana stayed in touch. We grew closer, bonded by the shared experience of realizing who our parents truly were. She moved to the same city as me, and we'd meet for coffee every week, slowly building the kind of family relationship that had been denied to us growing up. Do you ever miss them? She asked me one day, 6 months after everything had gone down. I considered the question carefully. I miss the idea of them, I admitted. I miss having parents who cared. But those people never existed. She nodded, understanding in her eyes. It's like grieving someone who was never there. That's exactly what it was. Grief. Not for what I had lost, but for what I had never had in the first place. The healing wasn't quick or easy. There were days when the anger would overwhelm me, when I'd find myself raging at the unfairness of it all. Why couldn't I have had normal parents? Why did I have to be the one dealing with this mess? But there were also days of profound clarity. Days when I realized that cutting them out had been the healthiest decision I'd ever made. I started therapy, worked through the complex tangle of emotions that came with severing ties with the people who had raised me. Family isn't always blood, my therapist told me one session. Family is the people who love you for who you are, not what you can give them. I held onto those words like a lifeline. My workplace became a safe haven. After the initial drama with HR, my colleagues rallied around me, offering support without prying too deeply. My boss even pulled me aside one day. I want you to know, he said, that what your parents did, the complaint, the harassment, it doesn't reflect on you. We see your work. We value you. I nearly broke down right there in his office. To be seen, to be valued, not for what I could provide but for who I was? It felt alien and wonderful all at once. It wasn't just at work that I found support. Friends who had drifted away over the years, pushed aside by my constant need to cater to my parents, started coming back into my life. They had seen what was happening long before I had tried to warn me in subtle ways that I had been too blind to notice. We always knew something wasn't right, my friend Mark told me over drinks one night. The way you'd drop everything whenever they called, the way you'd work yourself to exhaustion to help them, and they never seemed grateful. But we didn't know how to tell you without making you defensive. He was right. I would have defended them. That's what good sons do, right? Protect their parents, make excuses for them, keep the peace at all costs. It had been drilled into me from childhood, family comes first, no matter what. But what about when family comes at the cost of your self-worth? Your financial security? Your mental health? The first holidays after the break were the hardest. Thanksgiving arrived with a flood of memories, crowded dinner tables, forced laughter, the inevitable arguments that would end with me pulling out my checkbook to smooth things over. I had always been the peacekeeper, the fixer, the one who made everything okay, no matter the personal cost. This year, There was no family dinner to attend, no drama to manage, no check to write. Just silence. Dana came over, bringing a small turkey and some side dishes from the grocery store. We sat in my apartment, eating off paper plates, laughing at bad TV. "This is nice," she said, halfway through the meal. "No one's fighting. No one's crying. No one's asking for money." I had to agree. It was the most peaceful Thanksgiving I could remember. Christmas was harder. The emptiness felt more pronounced, the absence of tradition more jarring. I found myself staring at my phone, thumb hovering over my parents' contact information, wondering if I should reach out, if only for the day. Then I remembered my mother's voice. "He thinks we love him. We just love his money." And I put the phone away. Instead, I threw a small gathering at my place. Dana came, of course, along with a few close friends. We exchanged modest gifts, drank too much eggnog, and sang off-key carols until the neighbors complained. It wasn't the Christmas of my childhood, but it was warm and genuine. No one was using anyone else. No one was keeping score. The new year brought unexpected challenges. My dad, desperate and running out of options, started spreading rumors about me and our extended family. He told cousins I had a gambling addiction, told aunts and uncles I was mentally unstable, told anyone who would listen that I had abandoned them in their hour of need. Some believed him. I got concerned calls, judgmental text messages, well-meaning but misguided interventions. Each one was a fresh wound, a reminder that the people who should have protected me were actively trying to destroy me. "Block them," my therapist advised. "All of them. You don't owe them explanations." She was right, but it was harder than it sounded. These were people I had known all my life, people I had shared holidays with, people who had watched me grow up. But they weren't choosing me. They were choosing the easier narrative, the one that didn't require them to acknowledge that parents could be abusive, manipulative, criminal. That parents could see their own child as nothing more than a cash machine. So I blocked them. One by one, I removed them from my life. And with each deletion, each severance, I felt lighter. Freer. The spring brought unexpected gifts. A promotion at work, a new apartment in a better neighborhood, a group of friends who understood boundaries and respected them. Dana met someone special, a kind-hearted woman who treated her with the respect and care our parents never had. "I didn't know relationships could be like this," she confessed to me over brunch one Sunday. "Without manipulation. Without guilt. Without constant demands." I knew exactly what she meant. I had started seeing someone too, a woman I met through a mutual friend. In the beginning, I was hypervigilant, watching for signs that she was using me, that she only wanted what I could give her. But over time, I learned to trust again. To believe that not everyone was like my parents. The lawsuit against my parents dragged on. The bank was relentless, as banks tend to be when money is involved. They lost everything. The house was foreclosed, the car repossessed, their savings drained to pay legal fees. My father had to come out of retirement, taking a job as a night security guard at an office building. My mother, with her new criminal record, couldn't find work. I should have felt vindicated. This was justice, after all. They had stolen from me, lied to me, used me for years. But all I felt was a hollow sort of sadness. Not for them, they had made their choices, but for what could have been. For the family we might have been if they had just loved me the way parents are supposed to love their children. A year and a half after the break, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost let it go to voicemail. Too many unknown calls had turned out to be distant relatives trying to fix things, but something made me pick up. It was my grandmother. Not the one who had left that guilt-tripping message at the beginning, but my father's mother, a woman I had barely known. She had been estranged from my dad for decades, and I had only met her a handful of times as a child. "I heard what happened," she said, her voice crackling with age. "I'm not surprised. Your father was always selfish, even as a boy. He learned it from his father." She paused, and I could hear her labored breathing. "I just wanted you to know that I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. For breaking the cycle." I didn't know what to say. This woman, practically a stranger, had seen right through the facade my parents had built, had recognized their behavior for what it was. "Thank you," I managed finally. "Family is more than blood," she continued, echoing my therapist's words almost exactly. "It's how you treat each other. And those two, they didn't treat you like family. They treated you like an ATM." We talked for nearly an hour. She told me stories about my father as a child, about his own complicated relationship with his parents, about patterns of behavior that had been passed down through generations. It didn't excuse what they had done, but it helped me understand. After we hung up, I sat in silence for a long time, turning her words over in my mind. Breaking the cycle. That's what I had done, wasn't it? I had refused to be the next link in a chain of manipulation and use. I had said no to patterns that had likely existed long before I was born. As the second year of my new life began, I started to find my footing. The nightmares came less frequently. The moments of doubt and guilt grew fewer and farther between. The constant anxiety that had been my companion for as long as I could remember, the fear of not being enough, of not doing enough, of failing the people who claimed to love me, began to fade. I still had days when the anger would resurface, hot and sharp. Days when I would find myself composing scathing messages in my head, imagining confrontations where I finally said all the things I had swallowed for years. But I never sent those messages. Never initiated those confrontations. What would be the point? They wouldn't understand. They wouldn't apologize. They wouldn't change. I had learned the most important lesson of all: you can't make people love you the way you want to be loved. Dana and I continued to build our relationship, free from the toxic influence of our parents. We created new traditions, formed new memories, became the kind of siblings we had never had the chance to be growing up. We talked openly about our childhood, about the subtle and not so subtle ways our parents had pitted us against each other, had manipulated us into roles that served their purposes. I always thought you were the favorite, I admitted one day. They doted on you, gave you everything. I was just the workhorse. She laughed, but it was tinged with sadness. And I always thought you were the favorite. They respected you, valued your opinion. I was just the ornament, the pretty thing they showed off to their friends. Until I wasn't pretty enough or accomplished enough, and then I was nothing. We had both been used, just in different ways. Different tactics, same goal, to extract whatever they could from us. The final chapter of this story came almost 2 years to the day after I had walked away. My mother sent me a letter, not through the mail this time but delivered to my workplace by a courier. Security called up, asked if I wanted to accept it. I hesitated, then agreed. The envelope was thick, expensive paper. Inside was a formal invitation to a family reconciliation dinner, to be held at an upscale restaurant in the city. The handwriting was my mother's, the wording careful and deliberate. "We have been through a difficult time," she wrote. "But family is forever. Let us put the past behind us and start anew." No apology. No acknowledgement of the theft, the fraud, the manipulation, the years of use. Just a bland invitation to sweep it all under the rug and pretend it never happened. I showed it to Dana that weekend. She received the same invitation. "Are you going?" she asked, her face unreadable. I thought about it for a moment. Thought about what it would mean to sit across from them, to look into the eyes of the people who had seen me not as a son but as a resource to be used and discarded. People who had stolen from me, lied about me, tried to destroy my reputation when I finally stood up for myself. "No," I said finally. "I'm not going back to that. I'm not pretending everything is okay when it isn't." She nodded, relief evident in her posture. "Me neither." We didn't respond to the invitations. The dinner date came and went. A week later, Dana got a text from our father, full of the usual guilt tactics and manipulation. She blocked the number without responding. And that was it. The final attempt, the last gasp of a relationship that had never been healthy, never been genuine. They had shown us who they truly were, and we had finally believed them. Today, 3 years after that fateful video, my life is unrecognizable from what it once was. I've been promoted twice at work, bought a small house in a quiet neighborhood, built a circle of friends who value me for who I am, not what I can provide. Dana is engaged, planning a small wedding for next spring. I'm going to be her man of honor. Our parents aren't invited. They won't be a part of any future celebrations, any milestones, any moments of joy or sorrow. That door is closed, locked, and the key thrown away. Sometimes, I still wonder what might have been. If they had been different parents, if they had loved us genuinely, if they had seen us as children to nurture, not resources to exploit. What kind of family might we have been? But those thoughts serve no purpose. You can't change the past. You can't rewrite your origins. You can only move forward, making choices that lead to health, to wholeness, to peace. I don't hate my parents anymore. Hate requires energy, attention, investment. And they don't deserve any more of my energy or attention or investment. They took enough of that for a lifetime. Instead, I feel something closer to pity. Pity for people who had children but never knew the joy of truly loving them. Who had family but treated it like a business transaction. Who had opportunities for genuine connection but chose exploitation instead. What a hollow existence that must be. What a sad, empty way to live. As for me, I'm building something different. Something real. A life based on mutual respect, on genuine care, on relationships where giving is a joy, not a transaction. Last week, I received a small package in the mail. No return address, just my name written in unfamiliar handwriting. Inside was a faded photograph, me as a little boy, sitting on a swing set, laughing. And a short note: "I found this while cleaning out your grandmother's things after she passed. Thought you might want it. Hey cousin." No guilt trip. No manipulation. Just a simple act of kindness. I framed the photo and put it on my desk. Not to remember the family I lost, but to remind myself of the person I've always been, someone capable of joy, of laughter, of genuine happiness, even before I understood how the world worked. That little boy deserved better than what he got. And now, finally, he has it. Sometimes people ask if I regret going no contact with my parents, if I worry about who will take care of them in their old age. I just smile and say, they made their choices. I made mine. The thing about breaking toxic cycles is that it hurts. It's supposed to hurt. Breaking anything does. But once the break heals, you're stronger at the mended place. You're whole in a way you never were before. And that wholeness, that freedom, is worth everything.